Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, it's just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How y'all doing today?
It's another Friday. I'm feeling good as that stash is looking. Yeah, I'm
I
calling
mean,
out that
look
Mo
at that
I
stash.
know,
Look at it.
I know, I know, I know. I feel like I'm in college again, man. This is the shit I used to rock back in college, and
word.
it's not working for me. But it's for a good cause, so I'm rocking it. It's itchy as fuck too, man. It's mad
Try doing
itchy.
it all over your face.
See, but I'm used to like the stubble here. Like I had like the whole long shit going on here, but
That's true.
yeah, I'm not used to having the whole thing up on the upper lip there. But again, for a good cause. So rocking
Yeah,
it.
it's all right. You look like you about to you know, strike up a vice crew. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. Oh
All
man.
right. That was your
All right.
transition,
So
Umar.
yeah, Umar,
Uh,
what's on the agenda,
I
bro? Take the
okay.
heat off of me, bro, and my stash.
So we got a little bit inundated with geeky news in the last 24 hours.
Yes,
Because
we did.
yeah, so we've got a lot to cover. So we're going to jump right into it. So the first bit of geeky news is there are rumors that the delay for Black Panther to Wakanda Forever is being delayed specifically due to Letitia Wright's unwillingness to be vaccinated. Now, I I know there was some controversy with her before. I felt that it was a little excessive, especially compared to like other people at the time.
What was the
And she
controversy?
like the controversy was basically that she was kind of like providing bad information for why you should get vaccinated against COVID-19.
Mm.
But then she realized that she was providing misinformation and like took that shit down and also apologized. So like in comparison to everyone else, both back then and currently, I feel that like people being hating on her was kind of like just really excessive and unnecessary, especially when she took it down and apologized. But it turns out, allegedly, that she may be holding things up on the set of Black Panther 2 because she's not getting vaccinated. So I wanted to hear what you guys had to say. Tack, let's start with you.
So we're okay. So I'm kind of split on this in terms of the whole vaccination because there's an ongoing debate of should you get it, shouldn't you get it, and all these like conspiracy theories surrounding it and whatnot. And I think Umar, you're the closest to this whole vaccination thing, or maybe you're not. I don't know. I just assume you have the most amount of knowledge out of the three of us, but uh to answer the question, I want to actually pose a different question before I kind of address the Black Panther thing. So we're all vaccinated, right? So we're all yeah. You kind of just threw me off there. So yeah, let's just
No.
swing that back around to.
I'm just gonna say I'm like I don't think there's anything wrong for us saying that like I'm vaccinated because
Mhm,
otherwise I can't go to the movies. So like
mhm.
also I'm planning on traveling, so I got vaccinated.
Right. So if we need to edit that out at any point in time, I got you,
on a
Umar.
On a live podcast.
yeah,
But
edit.
it's okay. We only have 2 viewers anyway. So anyway, um okay, so I won't ask what I was originally going to ask. We'll save that for off cameras, so it's not to get anyone in trouble or anything. But um me personally, I'll just share my views because I personally can't get in trouble or be held accountable in terms of what I'm about to say. But um I'm vaccinated. I made the conscious choice to get vaccinated as well as my dad. Um I kind of understand it from both sides in terms of the argument of it's my body, my choice type of thing. And furthermore, it's kind of like, okay, so with this whole vaccination thing, it's like now that I'm vaccinated, I can still technically contract I can still get COVID. It's just, to my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Umar or Darcy, that the symptoms that I would sustain as a result of contracting it under are, yeah, they're mitigated, right? Like, so
They're less.
there's that. What's that?
They're less. Like the vaccine is to kind of like decrease the severity of it.
Right, right. But I can still be a carrier and I can still pass it on, correct? Right.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to like wrap my head around is that, like, so how does that set me? The only difference based off of my understanding from a person who's not vaccinated and a person who is that their symptoms that being the person who isn't vaccinated would be a lot worse than if I was to contract
Right.
COVID, right?
Right.
So
But
then,
also there's a risk of mutation with the unvaccinated as well.
okay, so then that clarifies what I was getting at, because I didn't understand like who's at risk. My point is, the only person that seems to be at risk is the person that's not vaccinated. But if you're saying that there's a potential for it to spread into a mutation, like a further mutation, then that I can understand. And then, okay, then that,
Well, for on a film, if the only person like, and you're right, like the risk is greater for the one who's unvaccinated. So on a
Mhm,
film set, if one of your actors who's refusing to get the vaccination is also in like the threat of it,
mhm,
that would be a problem because like they are insured, and like if anything should happen to them, the movies and like I mean like look what happened with the Rust thing where like they accidentally Malik Baldwin accidentally shot somebody.
mhm.
Now, granted, it's a very different situation, but like having your actors or anyone on set contract or die or severely affected by COVID,
Mhm.
let's just say that the insurance and lawyers are going to have a field day.
Mhm. Yeah, okay, so that makes sense. I can't really argue that then in regards to that. You're right that in terms of the insurance claims,
Yeah,
um that makes it a lot more, they're more liable in that regard. So yeah.
Yeah.
That was
It's kind
I just needed clarification on that because yeah.
it's kind of like it is a bad analogy, by the way. First on what I'm gonna say is a bad analogy, but it's kind of like when Tom Cruise wants to do his own stunts, nobody wants to insure him. So he created his own
right.
production company so that he could insure his own stunts because nobody would insure him. Now, unless Letitia Wright's gonna buy Disney and right and build and do this film and then control her own insurance, that's the business problem of this situation, is that they don't want to put their dollars and their risk behind somebody who's willfully going against what their policies outline. Now, people have their opinions about those policies, 100%. And that's not like, it's a very weird and hard place to debate. But like, I don't want to say like people should show up and have to work and have to do a certain thing, because then I feel like I'm going to go down the conversation where it's like you can't have an afro at work because you can start just making these generalized statements. It's just very difficult because it's like if she doesn't want to do this
Yeah.
stuff and the company doesn't want to have that risk, then everyone's right, and the audience gets the suck out of this, because at the end of the day, this either means we're not going to get a film, the film's going to be delayed, or we're going to lose another important cast member in the Black Panther situation, and the Black Panther overall like plethora and cast of things. So yeah,
Yeah, like
it's just, I don't like it. I don't want her to have to make a decision that goes against what she wants. But I also don't like when it's like, there's a part of me that's like, I don't like when people like um do something that affects everybody else negatively, like work and all the money and all the big business, because like she's affecting a lot of people's livelihoods, right? but it's also her livelihood. So that's
yeah,
where
it's hard,
like,
man. It's like how do you choose? Like I understand, like it's like you said, they're both right, and she's entitled to what she does and doesn't do with her body. And this whole vaccination thing, it's like you're hearing all kinds of stories of people having like adverse reactions to it, right? And you know that could be there could be other things that play that go into that as well. But I mean, the fear is still there, right? You're injecting like not a foreign thing, substance, but I mean, like
well,
you
it
don't
is.
really know.
Yeah.
You don't really.
It's-
Well, yeah, you don't know what's in it, right? Like you know what I mean. So,
Well, since you don't know what it's going to do to you, because
and
like
exactly, you don't know what you're. Yeah, the
Yeah.
long term effects haven't been tested, right? How could they? It's a brand new thing, right? So it's tough, man. I don't
we are
know.
the long term. We're the test subjects.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
So it's like
even
some people just don't want to be guinea pigs, and I understand that completely, right? So,
But like, okay, so this one thing. Let's say hypothetically, like 80% of the population has gotten this thing, and like 20% is like choosing not to get it because like their body, their choice. I'm like, if like 80% of the population has like long term effects that we all die from this, I don't want to be the 20% that survives. Like, yo, fuck that. I don't like that would be a shitty ass world to live in. I'll be like, okay, so everyone I know died because they all got vaccinated. I should have just gotten vaccinated so I could have died with them.
yeah.
Like, I saw Walking Dead. No one's happy in that show.
That's true.
Fair. Like
true.
the Walking Dead are the fortunate ones in terms of like blissfulness, I guess.
Yeah.
Or we end up getting superpowers as a result of this thing, man. It could
And
go
then
the
there's
other way
20%
too.
of the yeah, there are 20% of the population that were like, so I could have gotten superpowers if I had gotten first.
Yeah, and now it's too late. Now it's too late.
It's too late.
Destroy all the vaccinations.
100%. Oh man. You know one thing, like, and I'm not going to go too deep into this stuff, right? Like, you know, but we already talked about like, you know, what its purpose is. But the one thing I can't stand in one of the conspiracies, and I know I'm going on a line I shouldn't go on, but like, is the conspiracy that like all the politicians of the world came together to like, you know, and orchestrate this thing. I'm like, these motherfuckers cannot decide on anything together. How would they coordinate this and keep this together? While throughout the midst of this, how many politicians have changed seats? Right? You know, it's like, so you mean all the ones in charge and all the ones who weren't in charge, trying to get in charge, were all coordinating? Some of these people are dumb. Like, how, if this was a coordinated effort, how would Donald Trump not have spilled the beans? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Maybe
that's
he
the
wasn't
one.
invited.
Yeah. That's probably why he's so pissed against it. He's like, yo, man, fuck those guys.
Yeah, he's
I will say that if they coordinated this, it is really sad that this is the one thing that all the leaders of the world got together and actually agreed on.
And I tell you how messed up this world is.
Yeah.
Damn, sir.
So just going back to the main point, I gotta say that like this is a no waste. I agree. This is a no waste scenario because like we all loved Black Panther. It did so much for us. It is doing so much afterwards, and we all lost Chadwick. That hit hard. So much so that like I love What If just because it has him in it. Like even if that show was shit, I would still love it because I had Chadwick in there.
Chadwick. Nope.
Chadwick. I don't want to lose Shuri too, man.
Yeah.
Like yeah, they could recast her, but it won't be Shuri. We'll all know.
And it's like it's sad to recast somebody because, you know, they've passed on. There's something that annoys me about recasting somebody because of something that's like this. I don't know, something about it. It's just like something about it would bug me about recasting her. Like, and also losing her character. I just hope Black Panther doesn't fall apart.
This is why I'm not super excited about it because, you know, we no longer have Chadwick and, you know, it just doesn't, for me right now, and I'm saying this prematurely, it just doesn't feel the same. I don't have the same level of excitement for this movie as I did with the first one. Yeah, of course, especially after What If, like you said, Umar, like we just got a taste of him again after having, you know, like having to endure the loss of, you know, the battle that he had to undergo that he ultimately wasn't able to overcome. So yeah, for me, like this is kind of on like and I say this as no disrespect, but it's like on the low end of like my anticipated films for that coming year. So at this point, it could go either way, and I'm like, I'm very neutral about it. If they end up doing it and it ends up being great, then awesome. But if it falls apart, like Darcy said, and they don't end up doing it and they have to scrap it because of this or recast and it ends up not doing as well, then again, I'm kind of like indifferent.
All right. Well, moving on. Our next topic is, again, further rumors. And rumors about Henry Cavill, our resident Superman, or sorry, former Superman, and that's kind of the topic. There's talk that Mr. Cavill is going to return as Superman. He's currently doing I think he's like doing press for his Witcher season 2, and I think that they brought it up the fact that, like, you know, would you want to do Superman again? And obviously he would love to, but also there were some things about him saying that like there is still a chance that like to continue on his Superman, whether, you know, it's an aspect of you know, Snyder verse surviving Flashpoint, or like Superman's version from Snyder Cut transitioning over somewhere. Whatever the situation is, there is potential for Henry Cavill or there is talk that he will return as Superman. So I want to know what you guys thought, because, well, I don't think it's a secret what I think about this and Cavill's you know, version of Superman. But like, I want to hear what you guys think. So Darcy, you are our resident Henry Cavill Man of Steel fan. I want to hear what you have to say.
First off, Umar, stop giving men the hate, okay? Because first off, I think that Henry Cavill is a great Superman. I will agree that Zack Snyder's depiction isn't always right, but I don't hold that against Henry Cavill, because I think
I will completely agree with that.
Because I think whatever he's been asked to give us in every one of the scenes, he's given it. He's done a good job with it. Just not always been asked to give him the right thing. Yeah. so
like that was proven in Joss Whedon's Justice League, where we got a Superman that I respected, and Henry Cavill did it right.
I can't believe anything of Joss Whedon's like movie that you did something you respected. Like, I get, like, there was moments there where, yeah, he had the like happy like the jewel. I don't know, like I don't even know the right words, but there were moments where, yeah, he did feel like a different Superman. It just felt completely out of context in that trilogy. It made no sense. Like, it didn't build up properly. It just was like, I'm now this, and Batman.
Yeah, exactly. But like the thing is, like, when he was this out of character, random experience to have, especially after like trying to kill everybody, that was Superman though. Like that was what I wanted Henry Cavill to do, and he proved he can do it. So like, I don't have a problem with him being Superman. Yeah. I have a problem with Snyder, or like the Snyder version of this. So like that's why. But like, go on.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I want more Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is the one character, like his depiction. Well, him is the one that I'm the most upset about in terms of losing him in the DCEU. Right? Like, don't get me wrong, I love Ben Affleck's depiction and character, but it also is a character that I don't feel like has the longest longevity, because it was supposed to be an older character, and it's hard to like take that character and then give it longevity when it's like he was like 80% done to begin with when we got him, right? So it's like it's not, and I feel like we got some good stuff. I would still love to have seen one or two films like just independently, but I can accept it, especially with everything Ben Affleck's been through personally. I'm like, you know, like he fell back off the wagon. I'm like, I don't want him to have to endure any more Batman if he doesn't need to, you know, or any more than like what he feels good with, you know. That second Wonder Woman ain't doing nothing for me. So Snyder version was just slow. Okay, fine, Ron, fine. I would go with it. You would go with that.
Amen, girl. Amen.
But Henry Cavill, I want more of him in the DCU if it fits. I mean, obviously, like if the narrative changes in such a way that it doesn't fit for him, then yeah, let's not give him a better, like he does a better job and he just feels out of place. I don't want that either. But I definitely want more of him if I can have it. So that's all I gotta say. I'm just mad at Umar again.
So I kind of agree with both of you because I still have a strong soft spot for Christopher Reeves as Superman. Like that's like the OG for me, and they're big shoes to fill, right? Similar to how I feel of like Michael Keaton being Batman. Like I don't care what anyone says, I will contend that till the day that I die. Michael Keaton for me is physically maybe not the best Batman, but just in terms of how imposing he was for the stature that he was, is by far hands down one of the most memorable, I will say, Batman interpretations that I've seen.
Michael Keaton, Henry Cavill. Can you see that? Can you see that in the film? Henry Cavill and Michael Keaton. I'm just saying. I'm not even talking young. I mean like literally this version and like the better Henry Cavill. I don't want to say Joss Whedon. I can't fucking say Joss Whedon.
But the thing is, with Michael Keaton, he actually looked. I think Michael Keaton is like 5'9", but he looked taller in the suit. Like for some reason, I thought this motherfucker was like 6'2". He's 5'9" or some shit.
He was trying to be 6'2". Yeah.
Yeah, and it just you believe that in his presence and the way that he looked, and just like him just dropping down from skyscrapers and shit. Like it was so imposing and intimidating, and it was just like
he's not 5'9", he's 5'7.5".
Even worse, bro. Like 5'7", man. But like you watch, but like watch the movie again or watch a scene on YouTube. The guy does not look short by any, like when he's out of the costume, when he's out of the bat suit and he's Bruce Wayne, then yeah, maybe he looks a little bit short. Like he looks maybe 5'7", but when he's in the suit, like he looks like larger than life, right? So anyway, back to Henry Cavill. I actually kind of do want to see him back as Superman. I feel like I had nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong personally for me in terms of the Man of Steel. In terms of his performance, there was a lot wrong with the script itself. But him as Superman, he started to kind of grow on me. I agree with Umar. When we first see him on the screen as Man of Steel, he doesn't necessarily capture the essence of Christopher Reeves that we've grown to love. But I feel like as the trilogy kind of expanded and we started to kind of like flesh out Superman a little bit more, I started to kind of get like little pieces of it there where it was like, oh, we just need a little bit more time and he'll get there. Like I understand that maybe this wasn't Zack Snyder's intention at all, but I feel like we were getting like an out of world story of a guy who's like he comes down to earth. He's not familiar with like the customs of how humanity is supposed to act and interact with people and stuff like that. So he's still trying to find his footing. And the more time he spends on earth and interacting with people and learning about their ways, the more he starts to and then taking on his own moral principles that he learned from his father, like his human father. He kind of tries to find he paves his own way and eventually becomes that of the Christopher Reeves iteration that we're used to. And I feel like there were moments, especially like what Darcy was saying in Joss Whedon's version of Justice League, there were moments where I got a sense of that. And then other moments in the Justice League Zack Snyder extended cut where we start to see that a little bit more as well. But they didn't quite get there, and I don't think they had enough time to get there. And I think if given another opportunity or another solo movie, we would have gotten the Superman that we know and love. So and the fact that he's so passionate about this character, I want him to have another chance at this. I think he deserves it, and I think if he's campaigning for it and he's passionate about it, then, and he's a big geek, man. Like, let him have it. Like, give it to him. You know what I mean? He wants to do it, and he's passionate about it, and he'll give 110%. And that's what I love to see from actors, right? So, yeah, that's my take on it. I would love to see him come back as Superman.
Yeah. So, like, for me, like, I will say that as if we get, okay, let me put it this way. I was not a huge fan of the movie Superman Returns with Brendan Routh. However, I respected the fact that Brendan Routh was doing a homage to Christopher Reeve's version of Clark Kent and also Superman. Not the best way to go about things, but whatever. But I'm gonna dig back to way before, like when I saw the trailers for Man of Steel, and like I believe that my buddy Jimmy was like, he watched those trailers. It was like, I think I've seen my childhood brought forward perfectly, and I felt the same way, which is why Man of Steel hurt me so badly. But I want to say, like, if I get to see, I believe I can see Henry Cavill do a Clark Kent who's bumbling and actually be properly comedic. Can you imagine him in like his glasses, his overcoat, like fumbling around stuff, like saying like really sweet but also very like naive things, and people believing it, and then him like tearing off his shirt and being a badass, like a big Superman that you believe that he would go to a high school and sit with a kid who like sent him an email saying, "Please, Mr. Superman, can you sit with me at lunch so people will like talk to me?" And he would do that. I can see Henry Cavill doing that, and I'm sad that I don't think Warner Brothers wants him to do that. I think they want him to be the badass, but I want him to be an imposing Superman, yes, but like, give us the Boy Scout. Give us like a kinder version of what we have Chris Evans Captain America. Like, give us that Boy Scout who believes in the truth of things and the justice of things, but also at the same time can have humor with being like, you know, a bumbling idiot at work because he's trying to keep a secret identity.
Yeah.
Like, I believe he can do that. So, but like, I don't want Henry Cavill to be given more Superman if it's going to be more of the same. I want Henry Cavill to be Superman if they're going to do it right, because he, I believe, can do it right.
All right. Umar, that's the first time you've talked about Henry Cavill in the last year or so that I respect it, and I am not super mad. You redeemed yourself just a little bit in my eyes, brother. Just a little bit, okay? Not too much, though, because there was a moment in there I just thought you were going to go too far with it.
I was watching, man. You were like...
When you said tearing off the shirt, I was just like, what audience are you talking to right now?
The ladies all want to watch him tear off the shirt.
I've watched plenty of Henry Cavill interviews just because of like The Witcher and stuff like that, and he's got like a fun side to him because he's such a geek that I'm like, I could totally see him actually delivering on some comedy, and yeah, I would definitely love to see it.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Ron R's comments. Like the first part, she's like, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, no disagreement.
Yeah, I mean, I can't contend that at all. Like, she's right.
I wouldn't even want to contend that.
No. It's like, here's my exhibit A of my contention. And then like the other side's like, here is all these examples.
Yeah.
Which is a real shame, man, because I grew up a DC fan, man, like more so than Marvel. Like the only Marvel character that I really fucked with before this whole insurgence of like Avengers and the phases and shit like that was Spider-Man, and like a little bit of X-Men too, but those were it. And now it's like the talk of the town is like Iron Man, Hulk. Well, not so much Hulk, maybe, but Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, like all of those guys, right? And who's talking about Superman? Who's talking about Batman?
It is really sad because like literally, if you're coming down to like recognizable characters, Warner Brothers had all of them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel didn't even have the rights to the ones that the people knew them for.
Yep.
Yep.
Spider-Man.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy has been talked about more than Superman.
Those were D-level characters.
Yeah, bro.
D-level
Like,
characters.
take that in for a second. Take that
Yeah.
in for a second.
That literally was that. Honestly, Guardians of the Galaxy is like one of the greatest like underdog movies, because like that movie was like trailer was like, oh, it looks kind of cool, and like I the thing that intrigued me was the exact thing that like I was wanting from Marvel at the time, which was like, can we get some more color in your films? They're kind of bland. Like they felt so bland visually that I was like, they're good, but they don't have enough personality, and they could be way better. That film came out, it was like, it was color everywhere. It had personality everywhere. That film was like easily went to one of my top Marvel films right out of the gate. It was like top 3 right out of the gate. It was up there with it was like a Avengers level film almost, but it was like weaker and an origin story, but it was still like so surprising. Oh man. And yeah, and I've never heard of them before that point. Or actually, I had heard of them because I'd heard of Rocket.
Yeah,
because he showed up.
Heard of Rocket. They just didn't know who.
Yeah, Rocket, and I think I'd seen a Star-Lord once, but like seen it, not knowing what it was, and just like, yeah, cool. But Rocket was the only one who showed up in some cartoon a couple of times, and yeah, it's Rocket's memorable as all hell.
All right, moving on. So the biggest news that came out today, especially, was Disney Day. So today marks the 2nd anniversary of Disney Plus going live, and they came out a good time because we definitely needed Disney Plus. Oh God, if I didn't have Disney Plus the last 2 years, gee, okay, no, I'm not gonna go there. Anyway, so
the guy with the
thanks for your password, by the way.
What was announced on Disney Day was a whole bunch of first looks. Now, these weren't really trailers. These were like 40 seconds, 50 seconds of like a teaser or a sizzle reel, if you will, of 4 things that I've been somewhat interested. After watching the sizzle reels, I am either less interested or more interested. We'll get to those. But the main ones that we're going to talk about today are the Obi-Wan TV series, the Moon Knight TV series, the She-Hulk TV series, and the Ms. Marvel TV series. So we're going to start in that order. So going with the Obi-Wan sizzle reel, Tactix, Darcy, please tell me you guys watched it.
Skimmed it.
Okay. I hear nothing from Tactix, so that worries me. So I'm going to go to him first.
Fuck. I was hoping you wouldn't. I'm gonna be honest, bro. This is the only one I did not watch, and
fair.
You know,
You didn't
I wanted
really
to watch
miss
it.
anything.
I mean, to be honest, I wanted to watch it, but then I decided not to, and I figured that was a better use of my time, and so yeah, I just went with that. So it's not. I just like you know me in Star Wars, man. It's not like I'll wait until I get a real trailer, but to see like snippets of something that I don't really give a fuck about, I'm not all that interested. Like I just don't care all that much. Like if a dude just if like I don't know what the trailer is about, but I'm assuming it's like him walking around in some desert looking place, swinging a lightsaber.
Actually, they didn't show footage. They just showed concept art.
Okay, then I care even less. Like
I will.
Yeah,
I will ask you one question then. Just one question before I go to Darcy.
All right.
Based on concept alone, were you at all interested to see this show?
Hold up, I have a better question. Do you know who Obi-Wan Kenobi is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I just feel like we need to preface that because he doesn't. He watches the stuff. He does. I'm sure he doesn't memorize who everybody is. He is a big character.
This
might
guy,
forget.
This guy I do remember because I remember him from the prequels. So
yeah, he's super memorable.
Yeah. Cool character from what I remember, but again, it's like if you're just showing me like concept art, I'm Nah, like you gotta give me like a lot more to get me hooked on like a Star Wars TV series. So yeah. Sorry, Umar, what was your question again?
My question was, did you have any interest in the concept of the show?
To be honest, I didn't even know they were making a show until just now. I had no idea. So,
all right, moving on to Darcy, man. I'm gonna take you off the hot seat now.
Umar,
I appreciate it.
before we jump in, wow, I got to ask him a question. He's gone. What is the concept for this? Like, what timing is this? Is this leading up to
This is
just before Luke,
this
or
is
like
literally right after we left him at the end of the third movie of the prequel?
okay,
So like Luke's a baby or like a kid right now.
interesting. How are they going to do that? I mean, the man does age well, but does he age that well?
Well,
Like,
they may make him like 10 years later, and then like just make him see like, oh, I've been on Tatooine for 10 years.
okay, so how I feel about this, like, so I saw I skimmed the stuff, I saw the concept art, seeing him like go off with Darth Vader, that I want to see. Of course, I want to see him fight Darth Vader. But I'm pulled from Tactix words here. Like, I need to see a trailer. I need some footage. I need something more. But Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the baddest fucking characters in Star Wars. He's one of the most interesting characters, and I love him so much from Clone Wars animated series, especially since it's the same voice, which just sells it.
He didn't voice it, right?
He didn't voice it? Who is so good that I always thought it was McGregor.
I don't know. Keep. I'll find it. You just keep talking.
Wow. My interest is going down with this because I love that character in Clone Wars, and I honestly thought it was the same fucking guys. Now I'm like, honestly, I need some footage. I need to see something to believe in this, because I know that like it could be really badass if it's similar to the Clone Wars and like his adventures in the Clone Wars, and it leads up to a big stuff. Maybe yeah, absolutely. But like if it leads up to and sets up good things with Darth Vader, and there's conflict and the difficulties he faces, it could be really good. Maybe it shows him and Darth Maul a little bit more. I don't know if that's possible, because where this is going to land the storyline. But I don't know. I need to see something. James Arnold Taylor, that's who did the voice. Who is James Arnold Taylor?
All right. Well, I'll take it back. Take it back while Darcy goes reevaluates the entire Star Wars series.
Damn.
Okay. So
his whole life was a lie.
No, now I'm gonna be a James Arnold Taylor fan, because this man made me think he was Ewan McGregor. Okay, like damn.
Okay, so you guys are.
Oh shit!
Why do you have to always give me that, Umar? I'll be like, yeah, go on about something. You'll be like, yeah, you know that you're wrong about that, right? I'm like, damn.
I didn't want to leave you hanging out there, and everyone will be like, yeah, you know that Darcy's wrong, right?
Yeah. He did Leo. Well, that makes sense. I mean, yeah.
All right. So
legit.
My opinion of Obi-Wan, the series, is I'm not actually looking forward to this. I don't think this series should be made, because we don't need to stretch something that's already been established. And also, especially, I don't want a rematch of Darth Vader and him, because we had the epic battle. And then the next time they see each other, he dies on the Death Star. I'm not a fan of saying, oh, they had another battle in between that no one knew about. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, fair.
So yeah, I'm not a fan of this series. I love Ian McGregor. If they wanted to do like an artsy film of him like dealing with grief and like PTSD while on Tatooine, and also having a live action version of Darth Maul finding him, and then him having to fight him to protect Luke, like we did in the animated series, Yo, I'm all for that. But I'm not interested in the series where they have him facing off. Like, I don't give a shit. Anyway, so yeah, that's me. Let's move on. Moving on. Fuck you,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Wow, he ends on that. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Also. All right. So, Maybot has a question. How about his forbidden love story? Isn't she dead?
Who, Maybot?
Yeah, Maybot was saying like apparently Obi-Wan has like a forbidden love story, but like if I recall from the Clone Wars series, isn't she already dead?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't quite
Unless
remember
they have
exactly.
unless he has like another one,
I mean,
which would explain. No, like I mean, fine, give him someone to love. He's a virgin, so like let him love somebody. Anyway,
so he
yeah,
had a love and he didn't. Man, what a waste. Anyways,
she was a Mandalorian too.
Does that mean she's better in bed? Like the way you
Well,
said that.
No.
Like Mandalorians are known for fighting. I didn't know they were known for love making too.
No, I'm like she actually wasn't. She was a pacifist Mandalorian.
Ah, the pacifist. That makes it much better.
Anyway, so moving on. so the other sizzle reel that we got, and really it's just like a first look of the series, is the Moon Knight series with our Oscar Isaac. Now, this series, I'm going to admit, I know Moon Knight's a big character. I actually know very little about him. All I know is that he has like some sort of like specter in him that makes him violent against criminals. I'm not entirely sure of like what's going on. I've never read Moon Knight, but I'll just say that this looked interesting. It also shows that like Oscar Isaac is going like full. Like I remember reading saying that this was one of the most difficult roles he's ever had to play. I've seen his behind the scenes footage of him doing like combat training for this, so I'm intrigued. It actually makes me want to pick up a Moon Knight comic book and get some background. But I wanted to say, what do you guys think? So Darcy, let's start with you.
Again, I don't know much about this character, like you just said. Costume right now, I'm seeing it looks on point, especially the hood part of it. This looked very interesting. Looked very like dealing with a lot of mental challenges in this. It looks like it's going to have a real dark angle. And
it had a bit of a Daredevil-esque vibe, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that Daredevil. I think this looks like it could be really interesting. There's something about it that makes me a little bit cautious, but I mean, I feel like it's more to do with like with all the other Disney series that we've seen so far, like Marvel series. Is I'm like, like my worry would be like it'll kind of do with the thing like I had with Daredevil, where it's like the season was great and then the last boss fight killed me. Like it just didn't look good. Like the alley fight, I'm like, what is this? Like, sure, TMNT? Like this is not fit. like the era where it was like fake sets and stuff. And so, but overall, I think this looks like it's going to be good. I'm intrigued. I'm not going to put money down or anything like that. Just to like, yep, this looks like it has this one's got my attention, and I'm waiting to see more on it.
T?
If I had to rate my level of anticipation for this out of 10, I would give it a 7. From what I've seen, I also saw the fight footage, the behind the scenes footage of him doing stunt choreography, and I was super impressed. Like I liked what I saw.
It was hella dope.
Yeah, very, very much so. So that has me interested. I like the costume. I agree with Darcy. The costume design looks really, really cool. I saw the actual full costume. I don't know if that's a legit photo, but from what I did see, it did look pretty cool. I agree. It does kind of have a Daredevil vibe to it, mixed in with maybe a little bit of Batman in there. I don't know. I'm getting a little bit of a Batman-esque vibe as well.
Okay.
So don't have much to go on. I'm literally going in blind with this series because I have no idea. I've heard of the character before, but I have no context for who he is, what his powers are, what the whole tie-in with the mental health and the voices and stuff like that, what that all entails. But I'm interested. It's the most I've been interested in a Marvel TV series in a while, I'll say.
Okay.
And that's saying a lot, given that we haven't really seen a whole lot from the footage, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It's got me, man. It's got me. I'm curious.
I see what you're saying, because like even what like Maybot is bringing up as well. Like for me, I'm looking forward to this, and yeah, it would be nice if this series does actually talk about mental health illness in a proper and healthy way. I would like for them to go that route and to kind of like not just make it like a bunch of like guys like beating someone, having like actual depth there. So yeah, like all right, we're in agreement. Like we're all looking forward to seeing this. All right, cool. Moving on. Next up is the She-Hulk sizzle reel, which was like I think it was like a 40-second thing where they showed us yeah. So I'll get to that in a second. But like first of all, Tatiana Maslany, who is going to be playing Jennifer Walters, our She-Hulk. I gotta say, seeing her as a lawyer, she looked cool. I've always had a bit of a crush on Tatiana Maslany, but also seeing her in like the Hulk, the She-Hulk from behind outfit, I was made a believer. And then we saw.
Hold up. You made a believer when you saw her from behind. Had to circle back on that one real quick. You made that seeing it from behind made you a believer. Got you. All right.
You saw that coming, bro. You saw it coming. You tried to gloss over it, but Darcy got you, bro. He just got it. He was like, "Wait, hold on a second. Come back. Let's bring it back to that."
This man go to the church and the behinds. You know what I'm saying? I'm a believer.
Hallelujah. Okay. So the fact that we have Professor Hulk in the trailer, that surprised me actually. I have no idea what it means and why in Shang-Chi he wasn't Professor Hulk. So I already was looking forward to this series, just like on concept and casting alone. But now I'm like, yo, I want to know some shit. I already told you I have a crush on Tatiana. All right.
Yeah, it's the Church of the Onlookers. That's what that is.
All right, T, what do you think, man?
If I had to rate this one, I'd give it I want to say a strong 5 or 6. And that's higher than I thought I was going to give it, right? Because
that's what I thought, yeah.
Initially, I wasn't super excited about this because I'm not a big fan of derivative characters, and so for me, this was kind of going to be a pass. But I kind of do like the element of, you know, she's for one, she's a lawyer, so that has its own kind of angle to it. And on top of that, I think she's more self-composed as with her powers, to my understanding. Like she's not like she doesn't lose herself the same way that Bruce Banner does when he becomes the Hulk. So I found that to be a little bit interesting. And now because of the fact that Professor Hulk is going to be in this, and they can now have that dialogue in their monster forms, I think that'll be cool. And then it'll probably explain the end credit scene from Shang-Chi, because I'm sure they're probably going to tie that in together, and something is going to happen in this, I assume, although it would imply that people need to like watch the TV series to kind of get some context for what's going on with Professor Hulk. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I mean, again, I'm more interested in these shows now than I was with like WandaVision and Loki. Like, so the first roundup didn't really do it for me all that much, but this one is kind of like, okay, I see what you're doing, Disney. You're stepping up your game a little bit. Hopefully, you know, you can live up to the hype. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'll say that.
Okay. Darce?
I'm gonna go with the same rating as Tactics. My excitement level is like a 6 with this. I can't lie. Like, it probably can't. It could have been higher, but I wasn't loving her at the end where she was like, "You won't like me when I'm mad," and I don't know, something about that was just like.
Wait, was that real? I thought that was part of it, just like a promo, a separate thing.
That's a
I think that was
thing.
A callback. I think that was a callback.
That was a promo thing. I just was like,
okay,
this is.
If
It was
it's
just
actually
bothering
part
me.
of it, yeah.
No.
If it's actually part of the show, I'm like, I'm checked out. I'm checked all the fuck out.
No, but like that, I know it's not part of the show. Not even a wink of a thought. But it was just more like I literally was like, "Nah, you shouldn't have done that." Like, it was just like we shouldn't have done that. I don't know. Like, the thing that I like about this most is Professor Hulk being in this, because my worst fear is that like she was going to get it and not ever be connected to him, and it would just feel like, I don't know how to say this, but like, remember back in the day we'd have those superhero movies, or like, I feel like it was something recently that you guys can reference for me, but like, where it's just things aren't connected, and you're just like, like, can you just like, these stories don't make like fucking Venom. That's it. Like, how it just feels when it's disconnected, it doesn't make any sense, right? And I was just worried that like if he's not in this show, it's not gonna make sense. That like there needs to be a connection to either him helping her or he's there when she gets it, or whatever logically makes sense. But it can't be like there's another Hulk and the other Hulk doesn't show up. Like, it doesn't. It would just be dumb. So at least that for me, that makes me go, okay, there's something here. But I need to see more. I'm just like, what I got wasn't enough to get me interested yet. And it's not that I think it's gonna be bad or anything like that kind of stuff. It's just, it's like concept art at this point for me. Like, I just didn't get enough. So
okay. So I'm just gonna voice out Maybot's statements here. She's like, I would really love a bodybuilder physique for her though. I'm missing that female hero in my female heroes. I hear that.
That's a
and then so Maybot's been hurt. Captain Marvel wasn't terrible. Yeah, I could barely say that. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. But like, yeah, we need Marvel to step it up a little bit, which flows in quite nicely to our next topic. So, moving on, Ms. Marvel. Now, anyone who's been watching us consistently knows that I am very invested, emotionally, culturally, all sortsly, in the Ms. Marvel series. I want that. I love that. It's so wild. Anyway, so I want Ms. Marvel to succeed, but I especially want it to succeed while also being true to the character and true to the comic, which was very much representing Muslim Americans, or like Western Muslims born and raised. And like, I've been hearing they've been cutting some corners in terms of their authenticity to the character and her, like, people in her life. Wasn't enjoying that. But then on top of which, I heard that they are also changing her powers entirely or mostly, which also makes me really upset. So like, I still want to believe. But like, there's fear now. There's fear where there used to be hope.
So if I'm correct, her powers is that like the stretch her body powers.
She can like go big and she can go small, and also be as like strong as however big she is. So yeah, like I also think that she's able to change her. I think she's able to have like element powers. Anyway, so like for me of late, I've been hearing like she can like extend herself a little bit too as well. So basically like shape shifting and that sort of thing. But like for me, I'm getting worried. This trailer, or I should say this sizzle reel, it didn't make those fears bigger. I mean, we got to see Muslims praying, and we got to hear her say, like, a brown girl from, like, They Don't Save the World. I mean, they're just sizzle reels, and they're saying that. If that's, like, what the series is going to be like, I'm all for it. But I still have a little bit of fear. Anyway, so those were my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. Darcy, let's start with you.
Actually, I'm gonna pass a question back to you, Umar. So
Okay.
think of Superman and Lois, right? You know,
Yeah.
at the beginning, first episode is amazing. We hear about some of the corners being cut in female representation. We saw the series out. We saw some of that Lois being underutilized, and then at some point she was badass, but definitely underutilized. So let's say that Marvel makes a similar set of mistakes with this, right? To Superman and Lois, right? I'm not saying like they're going to use her like Lois. What I'm saying is that like you said they may be cutting corners, and what if they do have some, but they've cut a little bit out what they should have kept in? How are you going to feel?
I'm not going to lie. That's going to hit me hard. That's going to hit me hard. Because until like, you know, Kumail Nanjiani's character Gringo in in Eternals, I got nothing in terms of representation. Like absolutely nothing. This is supposed to be my like this is like my Black Panther. Now I get a series, but like if they do me a little bit, if they do me dirty the way they do in Superman and Lois, yo, like I personally am gonna have a hard time letting that one go. Especially like the thing is, they're adapting something that was done perfectly, and if you're changing things in translation for no reason, and it goes the way that Superman and Lois did, ooh, that one's gonna hurt me. That's gonna hurt me hard.
Follow-up question.
Oh, what do you? I don't
Out
know.
loud for the people listening.
What do you think is the reason for the changes, unless that's been addressed publicly? I don't know what the reasons are for the changes. I mean, like they've taken, like I think they've. If I'm trying to remember correctly, I know they've changed one of her friends who was Muslim into a white person, a white character. I'm really hoping it's not this guy. And I think also they've made a change about her family structure. But again, this was a while back. So I don't remember exactly what it was right now. Nonetheless, I'm worried. I didn't have worry before. I had a lot of hope. I had a lot of I'm still excited, but I'm a little worried. However, that image right there and what she's wearing right now and how she's going about it makes me feel good. Like nothing about this scissor reel made me feel worse. I'll just say that right now. Nothing made me feel worse. If anything, it made me feel a little bit better. However, given your hypothetical situation, Darcy, I will be crying while watching that show, and not for any emotional things they're trying to like cause me to do.
Damn. Yeah, I had to check because it's like our most recent kind of like similar example, and that's what sparked in my head. You know, for me, this is a real. This scene right here that had me getting giggles. I just like that like paper mache helmet. It was just amazing. Like it's such good cosplay, but it's hilarious if it's as superheroes. It's like who like I forget what it was. He had like the Spider-Man costume or whatever, but it was like a kid's one or whatever. I know I'm thinking of Miles Morales. Yeah, like that was amazing. But like I definitely, when I saw the powers thing, I was like, is that how she's getting her powers? Now you're saying, oh, they're changing her powers. I'm like, what? Because I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a biggest fan of the aesthetics of getting bigger and smaller, like, oh, a big fist. I don't love the aesthetics of that power. Like, it doesn't matter what nationality the person or nothing like that. Just like, I don't like the aesthetics of it. But at the same time, I'm like, I had no desire for them to change her powers, because like, even though like I would be like, oh, I would like a different power, I'm not going to say change the powers of a character because of this aesthetically, it's not my thing. I'm sure they can make me love it. Yeah, I don't know. This like a lot of these scissor rails, there's just not enough meat here for me to like, want to devour it. I just like, okay, it's cool. I'll wait to see more. So I'm waiting to see more, and I'm worried a little bit now that you've said, they're changing stuff, because I personally want that inroads into learning and understanding and growing up things that I just don't know.
So Maybot says Muslim representation is a timeless importance for us growing up. What I hope is that they make sure the changes they've greenlit are damn well necessary to back Miss Marvel up.
Yep.
Yeah, we all hope that.
Yep.
T, how about your thoughts, man?
I was actually surprised by your response, Umar. I mean, again, speaking a little prematurely, I saw a decent amount of representation. I'm hoping that they kind of, continue on that, and they amplify that and really showcase that culture, because like Maybot and what you said, like it's definitely needed, right? And I'm glad that we got a character like Kingo to finally represent, like start to spread it around. And also, actually, I don't want to say anything because it'll spoil it for Darcy who hasn't seen it yet, but there was a lot of representation in the Eternals, which I really enjoyed. I understand why the critics didn't enjoy it, but I, for one, personally respected Disney's decisions to take that route, because I'm not familiar with the Eternals, so I don't know if that's how a lot of that stuff unfolds. But to now see a lot more representation being added into the equation, especially for this new phase that we're going into, is really dope to see. And I think, especially for young kids growing up, and like now, like with the whole popularity of like superheroes growing exponentially, I think this is important now more so than ever, because when we were kids growing up, what superheroes did we idolize that looked like us? Right?
Blade.
I didn't even know Blade back then. Yeah, growing up, like for me, it was Batman. Batman's a white rich dude. You know what I mean? Like that was, and then next was Spider-Man, another white dude, right? So it's like we didn't have a lot of. Yeah, but again, he looked white.
He's a white Canadian. Like that, we're like, hey, I'm a Canadian too. But I was like, oh,
yeah. So it's like we didn't have that representation growing up, and so now kids have the benefit of actually seeing that, and they can actually kind of like actually visualize themselves in those roles. So when they actually go, like during Halloween, when they go and they pick up a costume, and it's just like, yeah, like they actually can embody that, because it's now being made real for them. I mean, as real as it can be. I mean, we're talking about superheroes here, but that essence is still there, and I think that's very, very important. Similar to how like Black Panther had such an impact on us when it came out. Speaking to you, Darcy, like it wouldn't have had that effect had we had been represented. We had seen that representation when we were kids. It would have just been like, oh, it's just another movie with another Black actor playing a Black superhero. Right. But because it took so long for them to get to that point, I mean, we did have Blade, but like Black Panther was an all Black cast. Right. And so the impact that it made was due to the fact that we had been waiting so long for Black people to be represented in that light. And now it's the Muslims culture. It's not, now it's their time in terms, because, they've been depicted in a negative light, just like how Black people were depicted in a negative light back then, you know what I mean? And still are to some degree. But, now it's time for true representation to be shown. Like, and represented right. And so I think this is really important. And my hat goes off to Disney or whoever is in charge of that shit for actually putting this into motion, because it needs to be done. I agree with Maybot. So yeah.
To go back on the point you made, like the character of Makari, played by Lauren Ridloff, she the news article came out, I think it was like yesterday, where just because she's a like a black woman, but like a black woman who is also hearing impaired, and in Eternals, she's using sign language. After it's been a week since the movie's been dropped, and like there's been like a 250% increase in searches on how to do sign language.
Oh
like
wow,
for beginners.
I didn't actually even know that she was legitimately hearing impaired. I thought that was just part of the character. Wow,
Oh.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So like what we've been talking about, representation matters. So like ultimately, if they do it to the level of accurate as like what you were saying, Darcy, like a Superman and Lois level, we're still doing a positive step for like Muslims and for brown people. So I'm not going to knock it for giving us a positive step. I just wanted it to be the right step. But we got Eternals with Kingo, and we got and we're getting Ms. Marvel. Maybe I shouldn't be too greedy. All right, so Maybot's saying, "Ooh." So the closest I had was like Tia Carrere in Relic Hunter, but then she was highly sexualized in Wayne's World. Must be some yellow fever.
That's the greatest comment ever, and I agree. I totally agree with that.
No, actually, respect on that one. Yeah. So I'm just gonna say that before we move on, that like we're going in the right direction. I don't want this to be like I'm not being grateful. We're going in the right direction. I'm a little annoyed that we're making changes, especially like fundamental powers, but like whatever. So moving on. Now here's a topic that our Mr. Darcy wants to talk about, and it has to do with the Fast and Furious franchise. So Darcy, I'm gonna kick it over to you.
Yeah. So, Vin Diesel just on some suck ass shit. I don't know how else to say this. Oh man, it's all I can think of. Yo, Tactix, do you happen to have the tweet or the Instagram post or whatever? Because like he's done a couple things recently. Like one, he wrote some sweetnesses to The Rock to try to win him back. Which I'm like,
call it that.
Yeah, and like it just like it was just
that was emotional blackmail.
It was laid on thick. It was laid on thick, and then as of recent, my brain is still on what you were just talking about. I'm forgetting exactly what the most recent announcement was. What was it, Umar? Because I'm totally forgetting right now.
I only knew about the him like talking like attempting to talk sweetness to The Rock to get him back for Fast 10. Yeah. And like him saying like, the world needs it or shit like that. I don't know.
I think that's what it was. I'm just thinking about that post where he's talking about, hey, yeah, like, our family, loves you, and like we always have you in our prayers, and all like this kind of stuff, and it's just. Oh,
Ron R calls it like as it is. She's like in quotes, my little brother ... and then she's like, suck ass.
Yeah, like calling him like my little brother, and I'm like thinking like, first off, isn't The Rock bigger than you? Second of all, isn't The Rock older than you?
Yeah.
I'm like, is there anything about The Rock that makes him your little? Like, I feel like if you're trying to win back Dwayne, my little brother Dwayne, I don't feel like that's the way you do it.
It's condescending. It's totally condescending.
Yeah. Like in this like what Instagram post he put out. He writes like, "My little brother Dwayne, the time has come. The world awaits the finale of Fast 10. As you know, my children refer to you as Uncle Dwayne in my house. There is not a holiday that goes by that they and you don't send well wishes. But the time has come. Legacy awaits. I told you years ago that I was going to fulfill my promise to Pablo. I swore that they would reach and manifest the best fast in the finale that is 10. I say this out of love, but you must show up. Do not leave the franchise idle. You have a very important role to play. Hobbs can't be played by no other. I hope that you rise to the occasion and fulfill your destiny." There is so much condescendingness in that. It's like an apology that's like, it's like, brother, I love you. You can do better in our relationship. Like, he is on some sucker ass shit. Like, what did The Rock used to say back in the early part of his wrestling career?
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
No,
The
it's like,
jabroni.
yeah. Oh, he ain't time for that suck ass nothing. I don't know, man. Vin Diesel is on some stuff, and I think it's just coming down to they realize Fast 9 did not do well, and they need literally The Rock to show up to sell the seats. That's what I feel is happening here. Tactix, what are your thoughts? Because I know you got feelings about Fast 9.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yo, this post is very audacious. Like, when I was reading this, I was like, the same sentiment as you, Darcy. I'm like, how are you calling this man little and he towers over you? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then to say to fulfill your destiny is just, I think it's candy ass is what how The Rock would put it back in the day.
That's what
Rudy
I was
Poo candy ass.
Yeah.
But for me, my takeaway from this is that Vin basically just is doing this. He's just unzipping his pants, putting his dick on the table, and be like, "Can we compare notes? What you got? What you got for me?" Right? That's all it is, right? It's just because where did I read where it was like I don't know if it's The Rock or both of them, maybe, where they have a clause in their contract where they can only take on a certain amount of like punches or damage in comparison to like the villain or whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, that's an actual thing in like your contract where you can only take a certain amount of hits because you got to make yourself look like the hero. So it sounds like if that's the case for both of them, then they both have inflated egos. And when you have two alpha males working together with a domineering personality, you're going to come to blows a lot of the times, right? However, given that The Rock comes from the world of wrestling and they want to make Fast 10 and Fast 11 this big extravagant thing, like this big finale to kind of top it all off, I'm wondering if all of this is just some kind of ruse and we're all being bamboozled into thinking that this is some kind of, movie type of World Wrestling Federation type, ruse drama type shit that they're playing up to kind of, sell tickets and like create all of this drama around it. So we start talking about it because again, like this beef started from beginning of COVID, and then it died off, and then there was the whole Tyrese and The Rock thing. Then that died off, and then it was The Rock and Vin Diesel they reconciled their differences or whatever, and then that kind of went away. But then The Rock was like, well, we kind of had a talk, but now I feel like we're not going to be like, I'm separating myself from the franchise and I wish them well, but I will not be a part of the finale. And now Vin is like, oh no, you got to be part of it, brother, like little brother and all this shit like that. So I'm wondering if this is all just some kind of ploy to get people to watch the movie, because it really doesn't make sense too, because it's like, why this franchise has been going on for a long time, and we've never heard anybody really talk shit like this about Vin Diesel before. And then all of a sudden, him and The Rock have beef. And it's either because of what I said before about it's just two alpha males in a room together, and they're trying to overpower each other, and then they're clashing, or this is all just bullshit, and they're doing this as a publicity stunt. So I don't know.
Interesting. I don't feel like it's a publicity stunt. I just feel like it's one, been too long and too elaborate, and two, I feel like The Rock is insincere in some of his statements, but he could sell it. I also kind of think that like the reason why things have changed is like Vin Diesel has taken more control over like the set and trying to push people, and I think in the past Paul Walker would have like been behind the scenes, been such a personality, he would have balanced out Vin Diesel if he's trying to be too aggressive. I think he would have just had an effect on the cast and Vin Diesel that it would just like have a different mentality behind the scenes. And then, so Vin Diesel might now be a little bit different because whatnot. And I know him and The Rock, just like what they're selling and what they're saying is that like they just don't get along in their work ethic. Like they're just different about how they're delivering in that work. One thing I did look up some facts just to clarify this. Actually, Vin Diesel is 54 and The Rock is 49. So technically that is a little brother-ish, except for the fact that Vin Diesel's barely scratching 5'10 and The Rock is 6'4". So I feel like let me put it this way. I have a younger brother. I am 6 feet tall. My younger brother is like 6'5". I stopped calling him my little brother, even though I'm 4 years older than him, because it feels stupid. I'm like, this is my younger brother. Because my younger brother looks like The Rock. He's literally built like him. I feel dumb saying little. So I feel like Vin Diesel's got some arrogance, may I say, leaning on narcissism that I'm seeing in this thing. And I feel like The Rock is just like, I don't got time for this BS. And it's probably a lot of it behind the scenes. And he's just like, no, I want to show up. I'm going to do my piece. Like, yes, The Rock doesn't give us good drama, but what he gives us when it's the right thing, like what he's done in Fast and Furious, he's going to show up, he's going to do his beats, and he's going to go. And I feel like Vin Diesel's probably like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. And he's like, I got to go. I got another movie I'm filming. I can't waste time here. And I know, and he's going to kill his role perfectly anyway. So I just think it's too much arrogance. It's too much ego. And I just think Vin fucked up. And I can see why, because that tweet or that Instagram post, that pisses me off to read it. It just pisses me off. And by the way, I remember what the other thing was about all this, that Fast 9 is like nominated for like movie of the year with People's Choice Award. And that was the thing that was like, that set me off. I'm like, what? The movie of 2021?
Well, what came out? Like, I mean,
I think Shang-Chi alone should beat it.
I think the only reason why this movie has a chance for like People's Choice Award stuff is if one, they're equating it to money because it may have had more time to make it, and two, I don't know, maybe just it's had more time to build up popularity amongst white people. I don't know.
I think it's on the same thing as Bad Boys 3. It won movie of the year that year when it came out because it was in the heart of the pandemic and nothing else came out, right? So it had time to breathe and marinate, right? So I think this, and because there was anticipation built up from this, and again, they're stirring a lot of drama as a result of them not getting along. So, people are going to be like, oh, well, since The Rock isn't going to be in this, I wonder how it's going to be. I'm curious if it's going to be any good without The Rock. So yeah.
So just to jump in, Ron R had a couple interesting comments. One, she's like Vin's post is manipulating, but the one that I find her fascinating is please look at Topher Grace's Instagram. His post about Vin's post is too funny. So I did. Topher Grace pretty much did his own version of Vin Diesel's comment, and it was like, my little brother Dwayne, my kids call you Uncle Dwayne, and like basically goes on this massive tirade, just like completely like spoofing Vin Diesel's comments.
Oh shit, that's funny.
Oh, I feel like this needs to be read out. Oh my goodness.
Go for it, bro. Go for it.
All right. So Topher Grace writes, my little brother Dwayne, the time has come. The world awaits our reunion. As you know, my children refer to you as Uncle Dwayne in my house. This is not a Christmas that goes by that they didn't make ornaments from your press materials years ago. I swore that we would make manifest a coming of age buddy cop time travel musical. I say that this out of love, but you must show up. It would be great for my career. So I decided So I decided to ask you in the weirdest way possible over Instagram. I hope that you rise to the occasion and fulfill your destiny. Please, the title is Airbud 2 Golden Receiver. but don't worry, the plot bears no resemblance to the 1998 movie of the same name. Oh my god, Topher Grace is a G. I love him.
Yo, thanks, Ron R, for that. That was very.
Oh man,
that was. I love the like my career perfectly. That is exactly what that Vin's post is about and why it pisses me off so much. Wow, amazing.
Okay, moving on to our final topic of the night. And this is where I'm going to pass it over to Tactix because this is his topic that he wanted to bring up. And it has to do with our beloved Will Smith. T, take it away.
Oh shit! I was not prepared for that at all.
Okay,
I
Darcy,
thought you were gonna. No, I got it. I got it. I just said I wasn't prepared, but doesn't mean I'm not ready, bro. I got it. All right.
Isn't that what not prepared means?
Yes, exactly what it means. Right. All right. So shit. All right. So, recently, Darcy and I started watching the new YouTube series starring Will Smith. Basically it's called the best shape of my life, and it's supposed to highlight it's basically chronological. It's highlighting his journey of getting into the best physical shape of his life. But what it ends up becoming, without spoiling anything, is it goes into a deep dive of his mental health and the things that he has undergone throughout his career in terms of, you know, like it dives deep into a lot of things. Like it showcases him and his relationship with his father, his relationship with his mother, his family, and how he's often like growing up in a rough family environment caused him to hide behind use his laughter as a way to hide behind his pain, which I found to be really interesting. And it starts off as a show of him, you know, prepping for, you know, getting into good shape, as well as preparing his memoir, the book that he's writing, or it should be out by now. But then it turns into this whole entirely different thing. And a lot of the episodes are very moving and very touching, and it shows Will Smith in a different light on a much more personal level, because often, and this is very reminiscent of real life in terms of how we view social media, right? We are always putting our best foot forward. We're always showcasing our best stuff, like our highlight reel. Very rarely do we ever showcase our struggles, our triumph, or not our triumphs, our struggles, our hardships and things of that nature, right? And so, you know, often when you've seen Will Smith, apart from this series, you've often seen him as like this, you know, physically fit guy, super charismatic, super funny, like life of the party, super motivating. You know, for a while there, he was on this stint of like dropping like a lot of motivational gems, and you know, it paints him in this light where it's like, man, that guy's got it all figured out. He's got it together mentally, physically, you know, like nothing could ever shake this guy. You know, you hear like stories and inklings of like him and his open marriage and how that whole thing is a mess and like they're going through their problems, but then like, you know, he'll go on an interview and be like, yeah, me and Jado, you know, we do our thing, you know, like everything is lovely, you know. But then you watch the show and it's like completely different. Like it's like a different Will Smith where you see him and he's breaking down, like he's in tears, he's destroyed mentally and physically, and it's like a side of Will that we've never seen before. And we grew up with Will Smith, you know, from if you've watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you've gotten to know him and grow up with him, and this is a completely different side of him where it's like he every episode he feels defeated, but that defeat is kind of like his way of unraveling the truth about himself. And it's funny because it's like, it's funny how trying to become the best version of yourself ends up bringing out the worst version of yourself in the process. And that's really what I've gotten from this show, and seeing that depicted makes me reflect on my own life and like my own struggles, my own tribulations and things of that nature. So a lot of very powerful episodes, and it's encouraged me strongly to delve into his book. I actually want to get his book, like a physical copy, and read it. And maybe that's part of the point of the series, like, you know, promote the book for sure. But it works because I'm super intrigued to know about his life. I knew he had issues with his father, but I didn't know to what extent. And that one, I haven't seen the recent episode yet that came out today, but the one before that touches on his issues with his father and all of that stuff. Heartbreaking, man. Like it got me in my feels a little bit. So I love the show.
So like people with daddy issues, that's gonna hit hard.
Oh yeah.
Daddy issues, it hits hard for me in terms of like my mom issues. You guys know all about that. But yeah, if you have dad issues, for sure, 100%. But in a good way. Like it's not gonna it's gonna hit you in the feels for sure, but it's also gonna bring up some stuff that you might have you know that we sometimes tend to bury down deep inside, because we as men especially, it's hard for us to really emote and share our feelings and recognize when we're feeling certain things. And so this kind of really sheds light on that in a very positive and impactful way. And so you know, I try not to idolize celebrities. I like to I'm more about ideas rather than idolizing celebrities and people in like in high status. But I can say I idolized Will. I grew up with him. I respect him highly. I like what he represents as a Black man, and to see him like that and see him defeated, because I have moments, and I'll pass it to you guys in a second. I've had moments as a health coach where I sometimes deal with imposter syndrome, where it's like I struggle with like mental health issues as well. I don't share it publicly a lot of the times because I'm always put in this position mentally where it's like I have to be a certain way. I want to be perceived a certain way, because if I'm perceived in a way where it's like I'm struggling mentally, then it diminishes my role as a health coach. And as a result, I lose all credibility for my as a professional, right? And I felt the same way about Will, but in the sense of like, you know, I initially had this perception of him where it was like he's rich, he's famous, he's you know, done all these movies, he's super motivating, and then to see him like that, it wasn't a negative reaction that I had, but more so of like, I'm not watching a celebrity anymore. I'm watching a real human being having a real human experience, and that was heartbreaking for me in a positive way, where it was kind of like that's all any of us are trying to do. We're just trying to have a human experience, and I think that's what connects us all, regardless of your status. We're all just on this planet trying to have a human experience. And sometimes that's hard for us to do because we think that we're separate from other people, but we're all just really connected in that way, right? So yeah, that's my take on it. So pass it to one of you guys.
Darcy?
Yeah, so I mean, I echo everything that you said. I gotta say a couple of like real high level things right out the gate. So one, this is a YouTube original series for anyone who's like, where do I find this? YouTube, it's YouTube original, and it's like you don't have to have like a paid subscription to watch it. It's on the level of like a Netflix like docu-series that's like
Yeah.
top notch. It's super, super high level. And yeah, one, there's like 5 episodes. 4 and 5, bald. The one from today, episode 5, bawling, like wiping tears off my face. It gets deep. It's like it's the thing about this, and I won't spoil, but I'm gonna highlight a little bit. Basically, Will has created a mask, a persona for himself, and everyone has personas. And it's come from, I won't say what, because I don't want to take away the impact for people, but a deep childhood trauma. And his reaction to that is to build up this persona to try and correct something or try to fix something when he was young that doesn't make sense, but it's the way children react to situations. And that plus the way he was parented blossom into this unbelievably successful person. The things that we've all heard about his, building a wall with a single brick a day, you mix that with his reaction to this trauma, and he created charismatic personality to try and deal with that trauma, and it creates a lot of what we see. And I think that what we're going to see is a Will Smith that evolves from this, and he's still always going to be charismatic. It's part of who he is. He's not going to erase that, but I think we're going to see a lot more authenticity in him. And like I relate to this in many ways, father problems, but for me, like there's a point in this show where he has a point where he, like, it's all about him trying to do, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to write this book, and I'm going to show this series of me achieving it all. And then as he gets into it, he gets to a point where he's like, I'm done. And that's actually, it looks like failure, but it's his breakthrough. And I relate to that because, like, I won't get into the details of it, but like I had a very traumatic experience when I was younger where I almost lost my mother. And because of that situation, I had a reaction to it. And it changed my dynamic with my mother. It changed my dynamic with women. And then it wasn't until my early 20s when I was like in school and I was realizing I was having a bad pattern of being really, really clingy in my relationships to my partners in a way that was like, it put them off. And I ended up going to see like a counselor at the school who's like a trained therapist. And I'm a very self-aware person because I've also spent a lot of time in my mind. So in that moment, I kind of, at the same moment that the therapist was realizing, and I realized it at the same time, that like all of my dynamics with my relationships came back to that moment. And once I realized it, it fundamentally changed my relationship with women. Like I just went from being clingy to like not feeling like I needed to be dependent on them. And it just fundamentally shifted every relationship after that point.
That's awesome.
And that, like, seeing him go and hit that moment where it's like he's now realized what created him. Now it's like the journey after that. I feel for him because I'm like, it's going to be 5 years and we're going to see him constantly evolve into something else. And it's very powerful. It's very important. I'm proud of him to be this courageous and showing this at this level because I think he's so well known and has been so well known for being positive and being like a beacon for people to look to, that inspires them, to then see him come down to such a human experience that other people are going to take a step and look at their mental health more, because like he was the infallible one, and he's taking this seriously now. And like, one thing I gotta say I also love about this show is that his therapist is in the show, and uh, as he you see his experiences, she's analyzing it and explaining it back to you, so you actually understand what is happening in a way that you just saw it, it could be depicted and felt very differently. Um, I love this series. I was in tears at the end. They hinted at the idea of a season 2, which was kind of jokative, but I actually think that there will be. And I think that there'll be more exploration as his evolution happens. And I think he's going to want to expose that, because he already exposed this. And there's some deep stuff in here. And that book is going to have some deep stuff. I got to get my hands on that book too. But I think he's gonna be an advocate for something. I don't think he needs to be like a champion, like and get a part of an organization. I just think him exposing some of the story and showing the story is going to have a real impact on the world, which a lot is what he loves to do, is have a positive impact on the world. And I think he's going to really have a positive impact on a lot of human beings in this planet. So loved it. It's a must watch for everybody. It's a must watch for men. It's a must watch for Black men who've gone through similar experiences with father problems. It's just a must watch, and I loved it. And I was in my tears. I wasn't just in my feels. I was cleaning them up off my face, and it was cathartic, and it was important, and I loved it.
Damn. All right. Well, I'll admit that I'm only like partway through the series, so like I guess I have all the tiers to look forward to. Just focusing on our comments, Ron R is saying that she finds it real and raw, and also she's been watching the Red Table talk, but also she's saying that his book is out in Costco right now. So you guys can go for it. We also got some comments from Maybot, who also was a fan of the Red Table Talk, and also has some very insightful comments about like mental health, and also the media and comedians being able to do what they're doing because of their battles with mental health issues. And also she's talking similarly to what you were talking about, Darcy, about the responsibility, like that Will is actually being responsible for the public's to normalize the vulnerability of men, and to kind of like, oh, there it is. Don't you think this is a responsible thing that Will can do as a public figure, to normalize the vulnerability of men and convey the strength behind acknowledging and accepting our own humanity? I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I think that he is being. Go on, Tactix.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I agree with that statement. However, in addition to that, I would argue that we all, as a collective, have a responsibility to share our vulnerability and not just leave it up to celebrities. Because I think part of the problem is, like I was saying earlier, we tend to follow idols rather than ideas, right? And the idea is that we need to learn from each other to share in our vulnerability, share in our emotions, and normalize being okay with not being okay, like identifying that you're not okay, and normalizing that, and reaching out and making that a more public conversation, and not looking to celebrities to be the role models or the spokespeople for that kind of issue. Because when they drop the ball, then they're the ones that get the blame. And it's like, it's not, yes, because they're more prevalent in the public eye, they have a larger reach. But I think everybody that's around you also has a responsibility, as well as yourself, to share in your insecurities, share in your mental health struggles. And like I need to take a lesson from that as well. Like sometimes when I'm dealing with stuff, I isolate myself. Like I don't reach out to friends. I don't, speak to my girlfriend all the time, or like my dad if I'm like dealing with stuff, because my go-to is to just kind of isolate myself and deal with shit on my own, right? And so that becomes the reality, and people don't have the mental capacity to deal with that on their own, and it leads to them taking their own life or resorting to drugs as a way to numb that feeling and that pain. And I think, we need to just pay more attention and open up that conversation so it can be had on like a more frequent basis, and not look outwardly or externally to just public figures, right? Because if we leave it to them, it's like it's a shot in the dark, right? They may have the responsibility, but will they take it? It's like everyone's dealing with their own shit, right? So I think it's to us as a collective to really take on that responsibility as well.
Yeah, I agree with him being. I appreciate that he's being courageous in doing it. I don't think he has to do it as a public figure because it's a human experience, but I'm glad and appreciate that he's done this. And
he's inspiring us to like focus on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I had another thought, but I forgot what it was, and it was a good one. Damn.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's all right. I was like, I literally had it in my head, and then I started talking, and then I like talked it out in my own head.
Okay.
I remember what it was. Sorry, I was just quick one. There is a story in here, and I won't spoil it, but it's one of these situations where somebody asks him for like a photo, right? And he denies them. And I won't say what kind of happens before or especially what happens afterwards. But I remember somebody years ago telling me that they'd met Will Smith and that they thought he was an asshole. And it's not the same person. I know that because the rest of the story doesn't line up like with that person and their life. But it makes me. I always like rejected that statement because he was so important to me in my youth. And so, but now old enough to see, it's like, think of all the times that people have met celebrities and had an expectation of like, well, it would only take them 2 seconds, right? And that person saying like, why can't I be special enough to be like, for them to just give me the time? But forgetting like, this person's going through human experience. You're not understanding the full context of this person. And sometimes, yeah, maybe they are a straight up asshole. But I would, like for the people who saw a celebrity like this and had a negative opinion of an interaction that they don't know the context around, and to have seen this and go, wow, like the person that from that interaction, I would actually love to see if they like, or just to hear that maybe they connected at some point down the road. They saw it.
Did you say that again?
Thank you, Siri. But yeah, like, like for them to see that context and then to have a different appreciation for that moment, right? And that's that narrative. But anyways, I'm sorry, I had to get it out.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Like, thanks for sharing, and also Maybot, thanks us for sharing. So definitely check this show out. It's on YouTube, and it's called The Best Shape of My Life. It's an easy thing for you to search. Before we wrap up, there's a little bit of a public service announcement. We are not going to have a regularly scheduled live podcast next week because the Geeky Bros are going to the movies. So we are going to be doing a pre and post film show of sorts. So we are going to watch Dune together. The film by Denis Villeneuve, who's adapting the Frank Herbert book. And so we are going to be getting Tactix to watch sci-fi.
You've been pushing for this hard, bro. You've been pushing for this for so long, yo. If one of us cancels Darcy, he is going to kill himself, yo. Like
it is not an exaggeration to say that I am
that you're gonna kill yourself, bro.
No. It is not an exaggeration to say that I am not heavily emotionally invested in Tactix watching this film. Whether that's a healthy thing for our friendship, I mean, that's debatable. But like,
Why? So if I
nonetheless-
don't like it, our friendship is over. Is that what you're saying?
no, more like, I hope you're ready for the emotional fallout.
So hold up 1 second before we go to this. Tactics. Does
Yeah.
popcorn fit my macros?
It's Friday.
Because this might be the reason why we don't go.
It depends on how Darcy's weigh-in goes that week. If he's got a good weigh-in, then he can go.
Umar's gonna be like checking with me daily, like, yo, how's your calorie count?
It's gonna be like the best shape of my life, yo.
Yo, we need to find his villain face.
If you want to see me turn into a supervillain, cancel on this fucking movie.
Oh, look
Darcy's
at this
good.
man.
Darcy's gonna do his weigh-in, and he's gonna be like, "I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm done with the show. I don't want to do this anymore."
we missed it. We missed it. Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
This is what happens when you tell your male friends that you're emotionally invested in something.
Yeah, we gotta fuck with you emotionally.
I know. Okay, so nonetheless, we go watch Dune next Friday, and so therefore you guys will be getting our pre and post reactions, or if it doesn't happen, you'll be getting me by myself screaming and like just being a belligerent, crying man baby that my friends bailed on me.
Got you. Yeah, I almost want to see that episode more.
Fuck you. Anyway, so I'm gonna toss it back now to you, Tactics.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching and engaging in us with this with a series of different topics. We had a great time sharing with you guys, and we're gonna wrap it up here. So I'm your boy Tactics.
Yo, it's just Darcy here.
This is Big Geek Umar. Live long and prosper, y'all, and please like and subscribe. Have a good night.
So can I get butter on that popcorn, or
Why on me? Why do you always focus on me?